Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 166 of Lonely Gods. I'm your host, David, and I'm joined here, as always, by Kate.
Oh, hi, Dave.
Oh, hi, Kate.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Um, so to balance out how fucking huge last week was,
Uh-huh.
we're gonna have a much shorter episode this week
In theory,
because,
yes.
even though we have three stories to talk about, they were all kind of mediocre.
Oh, don't you even.
You agreed with me to
I
bad.
I agreed with you on a couple of specific ones.
You said Sontar was okay.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, we talked when I was asking you if you had listened to Kiss of Death yet. You said no, but I did Sontar and it was fine.
Yeah.
Fine means okay.
Well, I
It's better.
you know
It is
what?
better.
Fine just meant Dave, I don't want to go into detail right now. I'm busy.
It's a downward slope.
Maybe, yeah.
But yes,
So
we have three Fifth Doctor audios to talk about.
and I
But
guess
before we,
nothing really else.
well, do you have any Who news?
Um Not really anything too big. Right now, I don't know if they're still on sale, but during the 12 days of Big Finish Christmas, whatever sale, which for me sucked because any Doctor Who or Torchwood they put up, I already had. The only thing I got was Sherlock on an impulse buy. It's kind of bummed. But anyway,
Did you listen to it yet?
yes, it's actually rather good. Any fucking way. Any fucking way. They got the download rights to the first season of Companion Chronicles, which had been CD only previously. So if you want to listen to Frostfire, Fear of the Daleks, The Bluetooth, or The Beautiful People, you can now do so on download. And at least during the sale, they were $3 a piece. So
I remember enjoying Frostfire.
Frostfire was all right. Bluetooth was good. Fear the Daleks
Yes.
and Beautiful People are kind of not all that great. But if you're a completionist, you can get them cheap, or at least you could get them cheap.
Yeah. I watched a bunch of New Who.
How unusual.
I have only two episodes left to finish the season, and they're a two-part master finale. So, it's a really good season. Like, it's a huge step up from the last one, which is good. Especially
Sorry,
because,
I'm not yawning because I'm bored. I'm just fucking. I've been sick all week.
no, I know Clara sucks. She's boring. And
Kinda.
they try to make her interesting in rushed and sloppy ways.
Oh,
And she,
that sounds like new series.
yeah. Well, I mean, you saw part of that with the whole her being like scattered throughout the timeline.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a very interesting idea that was handled in a single episode and didn't work that well.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
so
mean,
that's
part of the thing is that because you don't obviously like at least on television you don't have stories with past doctors like wedging somebody into the timeline like that is really difficult, especially like it's not like you can just like bring back Tom Baker to play him the fourth Doctor, right? Because I mean he's old as the hills, so you
yeah.
can't really get the full effect of Clara's impact on the timeline. And I mean, I guess if Big Finish got Jenna Coleman, they could probably do something with that, but they've already kind of been doing a similar thing with their River series, so it'd be kind of a rehash anyway.
Yeah.
Not that that stopped them before.
No, that's very true.
Oh, that's the other thing. Apparently, that Big Finish's license now covers the 12th Doctor period as well because he's no longer the incumbent.
Oh, cool. I mean, I really like Capaldi, so I'd be very happy to see more of him. I'm really gonna miss Bill and Nardole when this season ends because they are both really good companions, which is rare for the new season. Not only have a really good companion, but two of them.
I hear tell that Bill likes to remind people how gay she is more often
It,
than is necessary.
sometimes, but it's not that bad. It comes up. There's a lot of historical episodes.
Mm.
ish. Science, not straight historical. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they don't do that
Historical
anymore.
set. I mean, that was one of the things that bugged me about Vastra. It's like I can buy that she might blend in as a lizard person because Victorian era is kind of like the age of the freak show in a way.
Yeah,
But when she's like so unabashed of like, yes, I'm a lizard person from the dawn of time and I'm eating twad, it's like there's only so much people can take.
so it's great because in the episode we just watched, they were dealing with Roman soldiers, and like the lead one was hitting on Bill, and she's like, I don't like men in that way, and he's like, no, I get it. Like my fellow soldier here, he's into just dudes, because Rome was much more open about that and fine with it.
Well, not as much as pop culture might have you believe. I mean, it was okay, but it was basically it was gay if you received, and it was kind of frowned upon. But if you fuck someone else in the butt, then that's okay.
So,
To my knowledge,
anyway,
that's how it works. But yeah, I don't know.
it's been a good season.
I'm glad to hear it. I don't know. It's like I had the same issue with like Torchwood, where first somehow Torchwood. I mean, maybe it's just because Russell T Davies is gay, but somehow they turned bisexual into gay on Torchwood, where it was like, how often does Captain Jack fuck women? Like almost never.
That's true. Well, but Captain Jack isn't bisexual. He's
Yes.
pansexual.
Well,
He fucks everything.
yeah, in theory, but usually it means he's fucking dudes because that's what's raunchy and racy, I guess. I don't know.
There were some aliens in there.
Yeah, aliens don't count. Aliens are
Yes,
like
they do.
no, they don't. They're spaghetti monsters from Mars. They're not people.
That's very racist, Kate.
I don't care.
Or xenophobic.
Good. Well, look, when there are real aliens to be offended with me, let me know.
Well, according to the news lately, there are. So.
Well, yeah, but you know.
Anyway, so let's get right into our first story. Heroes of Sontar, which involves the TARDIS crew lands on a planet whose name I can't remember.
Samur.
Sabur, which is covered with
Samur with an M, not a B.
Samur, with a is it pink, right? Like a pink moss.
It's like a weird purple moss. It's supposed to be like this, like I don't know, fucking monastery, like hippie commune, where you can come and relax. Because the doctor's like, well, after all that Mara stuff, we should probably take a fucking
That
vacation.
sound like like hippie commune sounds way more like it than what they were describing than a monastery. It seemed like a spa planet,
Whatever.
but less businessy.
Whatever. You're not allowed to wear shoes there. That's either a monastery or a hippie commune.
So,
or like a kung fu dojo, I guess, but it's not that cool.
But then they run into a squadron. Well, actually, we keep intercutting with a squadron of Sontaran soldiers sent here on a mission.
Of sealed orders, they don't know what the mission is. Personally handpicked by the Fleet Marshal Stab.
And they all seem completely useless.
They're all pretty useless. There's like a cowardly rookie. There's an incompetent commander. There's a toadying sergeant. There's a war veteran who's kind of on his way out. There's a guy with no tongue.
Yeah, the pilot has no tongue. It just bumbles. And
It's
one
not
of
the pilot. Those are two different guys.
Oh, well,
The pilot doesn't
pilot
really last very long in the story.
Was the pilot the translator then? Because one of them just understood what that guy was saying. He didn't last very
no. I think that was the veteran. Like the pilot guy wasn't really in the conversation scenes. Like when their ship goes down, like they assume the pilot's dead, and they just kind of find him later, like killed from something else. So
yeah.
He's not really. But anyway, yeah. So they're terrible, and so they've been sent to this planet. The Sontarans, like this is like apparently like their furthest foothold into Rutan territory, like 20 years ago, and since then they've like retreated, or rather concentrated their forces further back. Pardon me. So yeah, they're sent there for reasons unknown, and meanwhile the Doctor and Nyssa and everybody are all fucking around on the planet because they can't leave anything alone. And when Nyssa finds the mysterious moss, She decides to pick some of it off a statue and put it on her own hand because she is a smart, intelligent fucking xenobiologist who knows not to do it. And fucking lo and behold, she gets infected.
It's the only it's the real weak point of this story. It's just a really dumb decision that kicks it off.
Yeah, and it's weird to sideline her, kind of, because like this is her own story. This is her storyline, ostensibly. Like,
yeah.
I mean, there are some nuggets given out where she talks to Tegan, like about the fact that she has a family and children and stuff in the intervening time and all that, but it's not given a lot of focus.
Nope. So really, it's all about finding out why these Sontarans are here, and what the hell happened on this planet.
Pretty much. So basically, the reason the Sontarans retreated was because in the battle there before, according to the veteran, there were what they called witch guards with swords who like just decimated the Sontarans, and
there were 7 of them.
There were 7 of them. Dun dun dun. And there's 7 Sontarans. Imagine that. And I guess they put a fucking curse mojo on the Sontarans so that they would fuck up constantly, I guess, and lose their war.
Well, no, sort of. Do you want to explain what the actual reveal is now, or?
Well, okay, so the deal with the curse is that the Sontarans have to sacrifice the 7 finest sons of Sontar to the witch guards in order for the curse to be lifted. So what Field Marshal Stab did is collect a bunch of fuck-ups who happen to be from the 7 like bloodlines of the best warriors.
They're the runts of every litter.
They're the runts of the litter, basically, who were like, yeah, there's a reason they're all incompetent fuckheads, and it's not just because Sontarans are funny. It's because like they literally handpicked incompetent fuckheads for this, so they weren't actually sacrificing anything of like value.
Except we find out, but the issue with that is the curse of Sontar is real, and it's because there were 7 witch doctors, but there's only 6 on the planet now. It's because the 7th they're like incorporeal beings, and the 7th one possessed Field Marshal Stab.
Yeah, so every clone descended from him is tainted and fucked up.
Yes. So they it's
they
like when they
added their own army, essentially.
The way they described it, because they're like, they stumble more often, and I was like, it's like when they added tripping to Smash Brothers. They added tripping to the whole Sontar army.
I thought it was a funny way of explaining why they're so fucking incompetent most of the time.
Yeah, no, I like a lot of this. Besides the whole Nyssa part, like I enjoyed this story.
Yeah, I like this one too. This was actually Big Finish's first time using the Sontarans, which is kind of surprising because we're well over like 100 episodes into the monthly series.
And it's really well done.
It is well done. Yeah.
Episode.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you. Like, it kind of has a shaky start, especially because it kind of hinges on Nyssa being about as stupid as the Potato Men. But it ends very well. I liked Turlough's friendship with the scared Sontaran, and how he kind of like teaches him the ways of cowardice, which is nice. The Sontarans, like, they are pretty funny. There's probably a bit too much fucking around jokey shit, but I don't know. They're pretty amusing. And overall, I think it's fairly well characterized, so it's enjoyable. I like it. It is definitely the best of this trilogy, for sure.
They definitely murder a bunch of the Sontarans, too, and then they get possessed.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
But there's a weird plot wrinkle, because isn't it, it's like the ghosts know that they've been sent to fuck ups.
Yeah, I guess.
But the curse will still be lifted if they take over, right?
I suppose, yeah. But anyway. I mean, because it's like the old cannibal thing, I guess. Like, they ingest the strengths of the DNA or whatever.
Yeah.
But they've also ingested the weaknesses because they're stupid.
The ghosts are going to take over the Sontars, even though they know they're the weakest, because they're going to build their own They're going to basically take over the Sontaran army and lay waste to the universe.
Right.
Also, Rootens are pink jellyfish monsters, right?
I think they're more green jellyfish monsters.
Okay, but they're jellyfish monsters.
I think we've only seen them on screen in Fang Rock, I think, and I'm pretty sure it was green.
Um, what was the? Because I always confuse them with what was the jellyfish monster from I can't remember the name of it, but Charlie's first episode on the airship.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay,
They're not anything that matters.
No, but it's another blobby monster. It's like that in the Mega, the Mega.
Sure. The Mim.
Yeah. Anyway,
There's a lot of blob monsters in Doctor Who.
There are a lot of blob monsters in Doctor Who.
There's also that fucking, like, what looks like a terrible Christmas cake from Three Doctors that, like, absorbs Bessie or whatever.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, Heroes of Sontar was fun. I liked it. It was a good militaristic based Doctor Who story with good use of the Sontars.
The Sontars?
Sontarans, sorry. And next up, we have Kiss of Death, which... Okay, so the first episode of the story is terrible.
I disagree.
I found the setup very poorly handled.
I don't know. You said, you messaged me saying you were confused, and I was like trying to figure out what could have tripped you up because it seemed like pretty standard to me.
Because all of these stories take place basically one after another, and then all of a sudden, we're on a planet, a space planet, not Earth.
No, they're at a resort planet.
What do you mean, no? Yes, that's exactly, yes. They're at a different planet.
Yes, and they're at a resort planet. No, they haven't been there for months.
Yes, they have. They've been living there for a while because they have an apartment.
They haven't been there for months. They're staying in like a hotel. They've been there for a few days at best. They never like specify they've been there forever.
Because the TARDIS is damaged and repairing itself.
It's undergoing maintenance. And it's like the doctor says, like, it hasn't been the same since Terminus. So clearly it's just some shit that needs to be done he hasn't gotten around to till now.
And then some people show up and kidnap Turlough. And we spent some time with them before we realized what the fuck's going on, which is not
really
for Doctor Who.
No. Like,
yes,
there's a bit of setup with like Rennell and his like secret contact in the first scene, but that's just being ominous. Like, as soon as Deela shows up, like you get the idea that her and Turlough have a history, and she literally explains who the mercenaries are the entire time.
With the mercenaries before Deela shows up.
No, you don't. Yes. Oh wait, yes, you did. Sorry, yes, no, that's right. They do in the ship. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because they get kidnapped, and then after Turlough is kidnapped is when he finds Deela, and she's been kidnapped as well.
No, she doesn't. She shows up at the apartment, and he runs off after her. Retard.
What?
Yeah. Turlough goes there, and Tegan's like, oh, I hope it's the pizza boy because I want him to stick his cock in the fucking box for me. And it's like, oh, it's just you, Turlough. And then door rings again, and she's like, oh, fuck, that'll be the pizza boy. I want him to stick his cock in the box for me. And then it turns out it's Deela, and she's like, God damn it. And then he runs off with her, and Tegan's like, let's go follow them because I want to know what this juicy-ass gossip is.
Right, okay.
Right, and then at the market, she's like, oh, those are the two mercenaries. We need to avoid them. It's all like I felt it was fairly explained, like pretty immediately. Like, I don't understand like why this was a difficult process for you.
I don't know, but
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I understand sometimes shit blindsides you. Like our next story, Rat Trap. Like I had there's actually a fair bit of guest characters that I had trouble keeping straight, which was good because once they started to die, I was able to like narrow it down as to who's who. But
this whole story is just kind of a mess. Like, it's not bad. It's just there's a lot of plot elements. Like I felt like if they would have focused on a couple of them instead of all of them, it would have been a better story. Because also, before we actually get into the plot, this is a big Turlough backstory, which I just find odd because we're supposed to be going to his home planet, and then we basically do, and
sort of.
It's this story in particular to me highlights some of the issues with Big Finish with fitting in these stories in between. which is we get a lot of character development that then will not be reflected in the next episode of the show at all.
I suppose, but I also feel like that's not necessarily their fault either. Like I think
No,
it's more a
an
failing of
inherent
the TV
problem.
show that they didn't. I would prefer to have character development of the audio that then goes and said on TV rather than nothing and nothing.
Yeah, but man, there's just Turlough goes through a lot, and I know it won't stick around.
Well,
And
I
it's
mean,
disappointing.
it will on audio, but
Yeah, but not on TV.
we do still have like Turlough audios post next episode, so it can still anyway. Um, yeah, so basically, Dealer shows up and she's like, "Yo, Turlough, we need to fucking hi," and he's like, "Oh man, I used to kiss you on the mouth." So then they get captured by the mercenaries and they get taken to this winter planet that was like a holiday home for Turlough's clan, I guess. And him
Oh
and
no,
Dila,
it's Dila's family's home. I thought.
well, no, they're part of the same clan, but they're not like blood related. Whatever. Anyway, fucking him and Dila had this thing called a bubble, which was like a dimensional pocket that was used to be a vault, but because they were teenage idiots, they made it so that it opened when they kissed. That was the key. And so
They
there's
had
this
to touch
guy,
their hands to the wall and kiss.
and yes, and kiss, and kissing noises on audio is just beautiful. I always find it really awkward. That's why I want to get more into the Torchwood audios, because I'm like, I can't imagine all the smut in Torchwood, how the fuck that would sound on audio. I think it would just be the most awkward thing in the world.
Gross.
Gross as fuck. I hope there's lots of squelching noises. You hear me?
They make audio. I know they make audiobook porn. I heard it's very popular.
They do. That's gross. Anyway, this fop guy who's there named Rennell, whatever the fuck. He wants to have the vault open because he thinks there's treasure in there. So he's hired the mercenaries to kidnap Dila and Turlough and make them. Well, really, he just wants to watch them make out, I think. But anyway, he wants them to open the vault.
That was so gross.
Meanwhile, the Doctor and Tissa and Negan have all piled onto the ship from a guy the mercenaries killed and come after them. And the mercenaries
did that on purpose, right?
Yes, I did. And
Okay.
The mercenaries shot them the fuck down, and they land on the ice plains, and there's a big crevice, and Nyssa falls down, and the Doctor falls down, and Tegan is cold.
That's a good way of describing it.
Pretty much.
Also, the Doctor and Nyssa find an underground series of catacombs where there's weird doppelgangers of them that are attacking them.
Oh, you don't mean catacombs?
No, not catacombs.
Oh my god. So anyway, then the mercenaries come check out the ship, see if anyone survived, and Tegan's like, I didn't survive, and they're like, we don't believe you, and then they capture her. And so yeah, there's a monster under the ice with Doctor and Nyssa, and they are like, so there's a guy melted in there, and like the ice melts because there's power to it, I guess, and it turns out that it's a monster called the Morass that's made of like gross flesh.
Yes,
and it's a security system, and it absorbs people and uses them for power.
And it tries to absorb the Doctor.
Yes, and I was like, I was starting to get worried. I'm like, please, for the love of Christ, can we not have the Doctor as possessed plot? And we didn't really, because he gets rescued pretty quick. But
yeah, he has Nyssa punch through the ice, which was a cool, and disconnect them.
Oh yeah, her and Turlough, they like reach in and grab the thing.
Which is a really cool scene. I thought.
It is. I mean, there's another scene where like Turlough and what's her face and everybody, like, they've escaped from the goons, and they run down into the catacombs, and like they hear Nyssa calling for them, and they're like, oh shit, hey Nyssa, and then she's like, something's wrong with her eyes, and so they shoot her, and she's goo. But then there's like a billion goo clones, and they're all like parroting Nyssa's lines from earlier to the Doctor because the goo was listening or whatever.
And then a Doctor shows up too.
Yeah, it's cool. And they wasted all their ammo on it, and all it did is absorb the shots.
They have like gooey blue eyes, and that's how you can tell.
Yeah, goo. Goo. Goo.
So, which was, I mean, this is really... It felt like there were two different plots. There was the vault plot, and even though they are connected because it was the security system, the whole what was the name of the creature again?
The Morass.
Yeah, the whole Morass plot felt like they felt like two different episodes.
Kind
getting
of.
together, I thought.
Kind of. And the problem for me is that the Morass plot almost entirely like supersedes the Turlough backstory that I was enjoying up to that
Yes,
point.
that I actually wanted. I
And
mean,
it turned into a monster on the loose story, which we've had about a billion trillion times. Because like at least like half of the story is pretty much just dedicated to how do we not die.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it turns out that like Dila is involved with the FOP, and like it was their devious plan to open the vault together.
Which, oh my god, it's like the most cliched con man heist movie story ever.
Yeah, well, anyway, so the guy, like, they trap the Morass in the vault, I guess, when the fop jumps in because he's an idiot and he's upset because there's actually no treasure. The treasure was the people that were supposed to be able to hide in there, and they're all dead, and all their stuff is smashed up, so he's
Also,
upset.
there was like a weird agreement with an army where they were going to like store the army in the vault. So I half expected when they opened the secret compartment of the vault for there just to be a bunch of soldiers
That's
in there.
kind of what I was thinking too, but apparently not, because that might have been interesting. We couldn't have that.
Yeah, it would have. That was the problem. Is I wanted more of the Turlough backstory because what we got was interesting, like the description, like how their world works and their society and their life. Like I enjoyed that part, but the heist part and the dumb mercenaries and the stupid love triangle was bad.
Well, more it's this stupid monster. It's like, okay, so I mean, and this for us, it's like, okay, so you know, Turlough had a girlfriend, and he came from a family that was fairly well to do, and this planet had a civil war, and he got exiled, and all this stuff. So you know, that's that's all interesting enough. But then the rest of it is like, there's also an ice monster made of goop. Like, okay, that's fine.
Story too. Yeah, I just wish we would have gotten one or the other.
The problem is that the ice monster made of goop talks, and it's impossible to fucking understand anything it says.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, you definitely couldn't.
It's like, and it's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm sorry.
Audio recordings don't come with subtitles. God damn it.
No. I mean, like, you can make out maybe one word in 10. It's terrible.
It's really bad.
It's terrible.
I mean, besides that part, I kind of like the ice monster story. I just don't think it belonged here. Like,
no, me neither. I mean, I
like the weird goop clones. I really like that scene where the doctor is like being held as the battery source and they pull him out. Like, it's really like especially with the sound design. Like, it's a really cool scene.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't mind the ice world setting, and I don't know. I think I might have preferred it if they stayed at the resort though. It'd have been fun. How often do we get sunny and tropical in Doctor Who? Like, never.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of felt the story ended up pretty flat, and a lot of the guest characters are the same kind of archetypes that we always get in Doctor Who.
Well, you don't get sunny and tropical in Doctor Who because Britain is not sunny and tropical.
Yeah, so I know, but on audio you can do that, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but they're
some seagulls. It's fine.
Their creative staff is also British. So they don't understand what that means.
Oh my god. Okay, can I tell you something that like seriously triggered me in this story? Like seriously triggered me is listening to them pronounce ginger with a hard G. Fucks
Wait, what
me
do you mean?
Okay, so like there's plenty of times like where the mercs are like press ganging Turlough into the ship and whatever, and they're like, "Get moving, Ginger." I'm like, Ginger, what the fuck is a Ginger? And I looked it up and it's like, oh, ginger. Ginger is what you meant.
That's what that meant.
Oh my god, you mean ginger. This is blowing my mind. I didn't know Brits pronounced it Ginger. Like, what the fuck?
It sounds much meaner.
I mean, I guess so, but like, Jesus Christ. I hate British English. Like, I really do. And this is why. Shit like this is why the colonials, like, you know, had enough.
You just need to speak American English, but with that accent.
Pretty much. Anyway, so, but yeah, and the other thing too is like, I don't think they did enough with Dila, and I think they turned her into, like you said, a cliche con man thing.
Also, like, I saw that coming from a mile away.
I didn't, but I wasn't really trying. And I was like, oh, that's you know.
No, especially like when just like from the beginning, she's like, "Oh, I was kidnapped too." I was like, "Is she really? Are they just is she using him?" And then when you get that like intimate moment between him and Dila, and she's like very like cautious, I was like, it's she's in love with she thinks she's in love with that other dude, isn't it? She's having conflicted feelings.
I do like that. Despite that, like they kept the mercs out of the loop though too. Like so they didn't know. And
Yeah,
that was I thought that was a nice touch because then it like it limits the secret. And I also really like the scene where like the mercenaries are like, "You open this vault or we'll shoot her," and Turlough's like, "Fucking go ahead, I don't care." And then it's not until they threaten Turlough himself that he's like, "All right,"
Yeah.
But
also, I didn't like the mercs.
No, me neither.
They were just very stereotypical Doctor Who asshole mercenaries that we've seen a bajillion times.
They were, and even to make matters worse, like they don't really make good use of the regular cast. Never mind the guests. Like Nyssa and Tegan don't do much. Like beyond the usual Tegan, rounds. I mean,
Tegan knocks the gun out of that guy's hand in that one scene.
That's true. She does get to sass, but like,
and she gets to sass Turlough up and down, and all of her snarky comments because. The mercenaries and what's his nuts are treating Turlough like shit, and she's just like, "Yeah, well, he deserves it." Like, it's kind of funny.
You're right. He is an ass.
But even then, she like stood up for him, and I liked the development between their two characters in this story in particular. But it was a weird mess.
I mean, it's not awful, and it's competently done, but it has a lot of potential. But it doesn't actually, maximize it. It's just they kind of just took the safe road, and so all those interesting ideas don't really blossom the way they should. And I mean, like, given that this writer's last story was Whispering Forest, I'm starting to think that I just don't like him.
Well, I mean, he seems like the type of writer that even though they does a good job developing characters at times. When it comes to developing the plot, he just adds more of it instead of developing what's there.
Yeah, you hear that, Stephen Cole?
Because you get this idea, and it's like, well, what do we do with the rest of the story once we get to the planet? Well, there's a monster there.
There's a nice one.
There's this other thing.
I think
that wasn't even part of the story that we explained as being part of the story because that one asshole merc shot the ship down and the impact awoke it.
Oh yeah, whatever. But I mean, it was already starting to awake apparently because we were like when it like shits out goop clones, like it makes a tremor. So and they've been feeling the rumblings for like ever since they got there, I guess. So it's really kind of not the idiot merc's fault. Who, by the way, I guess got like slightly absorbed, and now he's retarded, and the other mercenary has to take care of him now.
Yes,
I guess that's her new job.
I guess.
Because why not, right? Why the fuck not?
So,
oh my god.
So last up, we have the worst. It's okay. God. We have the worst story.
I was thinking to myself, Kiss of Death is probably the worst story. And then I heard Rat Trap. And a Rat Trap is the worst story.
Yeah, Rat Trap. Rat Trap does the thing that Doctor Who does the worst, which is try and be preachy. Because this whole story is just like experimenting on animals is bad. Look what happens.
Yeah, basically it's like just like before we get into the plot, just so you know what we're talking about, it's like hyper intelligent rats turn the tables on the scientists who experimented on them, basically. So and what really made me laugh is that like after the story, when I listened to the extras, Alan Barnes, who's like the monthly series like script editor or whatever, was like, we didn't want to be too preachy with the story because, this is an issue where everybody already has an opinion and you're not going to change their minds either way. So, we just had to work it in there organically and not really get on a soapbox. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Like,
are you kidding me? What does preachy look like then?
I think you need to readdress your skills as a story crafter if you think this was not being preachy.
Oh my god. It was so literal to the point where they're like, now human will run in treadmill wheel. Like,
Yeah,
are you fucking serious? Like, you
they
come up with a
developed.
fucking giant rat that makes all the rules? Like,
Yes,
oh my god! It's like the Rats of Nim was a lot more subtle than this.
it wasn't a giant rat that makes all the rules. It was three giant rats with their tails tied into a rat king.
They still
Because
make all the rules.
literally, the rat king is a rat king.
He's the king of the rats. He makes all the rules. I told you.
I know.
Oh my god. And then not even just like with animal testing, like the guest characters go on rants about nothing, like completely unrelated to it. Like there's the assistant lady, she starts ranting about how she's like, I grew up in the ghetto and I'm not gonna be like that. And I did all the shit jobs and worked my way up and blah 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 blah, blah. And it's like, this has nothing to do with anything. She's just ranting at Turlough, and all he did was make a comment. And then the same thing too, like fucking, and the journalist girl starts ranting about how women aren't respected and stuff. And it's like, neither of those things, while fine topics for a story, neither of those things have anything to do with anything. Like,
well, no, because the assistant girl also rants about women not being respected.
yes, she does.
Oh
no, wait, no, both rants are the assistant girl. Well, anyway, still, there's two random rants at either end of the story that are annoying. Like,
so, the government guy, his assistant, and then the military guy they bring with were completely useless to the story, even though it turns out both the government guy and his assistants are secret betrayers of the human race and have formed an alliance with the hyper-intelligent rats. It actually doesn't lead anywhere and didn't matter.
right. Yeah, basically.
Because the hyper-intelligent rats were intelligent enough to do it without their help.
Pretty much. So basically, the government, it's like these tunnels under Cadogan Castle were like, in the Second World War, it was like a radar station. They were doing like secret shit down there, and they kept doing secret shit into the Cold War. And now this story is set in 1983, which would have been the present day for the season this, is allegedly a part of. And so there's two urban explorers. There's one guy who doesn't matter, named Matthew, who lives way longer than he should. And there's another guy named Kevin, who claims to have been in the Falklands, but actually kind of like didn't do anything important.
Is Matthew the one that gets crushed by the rocks?
Yes, he gets crushed by rocks and dies. Which I found hilarious, because he just goes, he like falls down a hole. And the doctor's like, oh yeah, he's crushed and dead. I'm like, oh, okay, well... Like, he didn't even get to like say anything, or
Yeah, no, I was like, I heard that happen. I was like, oh,
okay, I guess he's dead. And it's like, and then he's like, oh, Caitlin, you better come down here and look. And it's like, why? So I can see his fucking guts oozing out. Like, it's gross as fuck. Anyway, so they come down looking for a story because they think that there's still like government spooks going on in the tunnels. And they run afoul of the giant rat who makes all the rules. And the TARDIS lands down there because they're supposed to be there during medieval times when the castle is like actually a castle, but somebody fucked it up because, that's how shit be. And so they run into each other, and then they also run into, like you said, the useless soldier guy who blows himself up almost immediately with his stupid grenade. And the assistant traitor and the government guy traitor, and they all scream and run around in the tunnels with the giant rats, and that's pretty much it. Nyssa gets hooked up with a scientist rat, not like fucking wise, but like they try to work on the plague. They work together. Nyssa is trying to use it because like the cure for Richter's that she started developing on the Cracked planet is destabilizing and doesn't Helheim and doesn't work. So she's like using the rat's plague and the antibodies in her own system to try and like figure out a way to make a stable version. Meanwhile, she's also supposed to be like helping the rats to like develop a plague that instead of killing the humans will like make them servile. Yes. And then they also run into the doctor who is living down there that created the rats, who is voiced by Davros, and it's very distracting.
Turns out to be the journalist's dad.
Because that's not a cliche at all.
Also,
Um,
every time they bring up Helheim, it just reminds me that in that episode, that all very subtly, well, not that subtly, but they were just like all followers of the Norse religion, and they just never talk about that, and I like that.
I like Cobwebs.
I like Cobwebs too. It's a
That's,
good story.
that's probably still the best episode of this Nyssa plotline so far.
Yeah, it's also the one that sets it all up.
Yeah, is this the second or third trilogy? This is only the second one, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Cobwebs is still the best one then.
Yeah.
I was trying to think.
Man, I'm so like I wanted to like Rat Trap, but the rats' voices were annoying too.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, they were. They
and especially
did.
when you're getting these long dialogue scenes between Nyssa and the rat scientist, which they all just have numbers too. They're hyper intelligent rats that want to take over for humanity, but they just go by their designation and numbers.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be. It was like their test subject number or whatever the fuck. But yeah, basically, like what they were doing down there was like they were trying to make rats that could function as spies in the Cold War. So they like enlarged them for survival and like put shit in their brains so they could be like telepathic, so they could like sneakity sneak into buildings and like spy on people and then report back and stuff. But they got too smart, and then they turned on the scientists and like started turning them into rat men and stuff.
Yes. It was a very preachy story.
It was yeah, and then but then they ended their preachiness by killing the rats in a fire. So
Yes.
The doctor did offer like, look, I can take you to a planet that you can like make into a rat planet for yourselves, and they're like, no, we just want to like kill people, and so they died. They all burned. Like they all burned because Davros was like, I have to destroy my terrible creations. I'm sorry, daughter, I just reconnected with, but I'm going to kill myself. So
this was, I think, the weakest of this series so far.
Yeah, I don't really care for it. I mean, there was parts of it I liked that they. I had hopes for it just because I liked that they were really like, at least with Nyssa's part of the story, they were really focusing on the Richter's arc, and that they were bringing that back to the forefront. It's had a few mentions in the last few stories, but for the most part, other stuff had been taking priority. So I was like, all right, we're back on track with Richter's, and then it's like. Yeah, and then they also made use of stuff like the spark wire from Whispering Forest. So I'm like, okay, yes, continuity, you're learning, like things are happening. But then the actual plot was so dull, it didn't matter. And then like, and I thought it was an interesting choice to like have Nyssa fail to stabilize the cure, which I mean, it's not. I guess it's not interesting because we have to string it out for another 9 episodes. But still, but. It's I would have preferred a story more about that than about giant rats who make all the rules. So, and also like points off for any story that has the phrase de-evolve in it, because that's stupid.
Oh yeah, I forgot that they have a de-evolve formula.
Yeah, they do. That's what they throw it on the giant rat who makes the rules. Yeah. Oh, another thing they did too that I thought was actually kind of clever was that since the rats are like telepathic, Tegan uses the Mara to scare the rats off.
Oh, that was cool. I like that too.
That was a smart idea, and that's like obviously continuity for its own sake doesn't really mean much, but that's like a smart use of continuity.
And the Mara. Which I didn't think I'd say after the last one.
No, but it was good. The another effective scene I thought was like when they first meet the Rat King, they talk about how they're like wading through like piss and rat shit, and it's like basically just this rat toilet with like the Rat King in a mound at the center, which is disgusting. It's so gross.
Yes.
So that was good. But overall, like there's just like this story has just.
It's so preachy.
It's so preachy, and there's a lot of time spent kind of just wandering around the tunnels or in Turlough and the assistant lady's case, the TARDIS, with nothing much actually happening.
Yeah.
And like I feel like this probably could have been 2 episodes.
Also, the assistant lady turned out to be a secret giant rat.
Oh yeah, she wasn't just a double agent. Like she was a
modified.
She was
She
a
was the
secret
secret
rat.
rat.
Hmm.
The story, like parts of this story are really stupid.
Yeah,
Like that.
it's interesting that like, given how totally batshit this plot summary sounds, it's not as interesting as you might think.
No.
Like, it's actually pretty dull, and the guest cast is dull, and the plot is stupid, and like, there's way too many guest characters, and I kept getting mixed up who they are. Like you said, like the soldier guy was totally useless. The assistant guy,
Well,
like,
he dies in the like
he does
first
in like 30 seconds, but
episode.
it's another voice to keep track of, you know? And because you already have a guy who's like supposedly ex-military and Kevin, like it's already overlap.
No, because you have the journalist and her group, which is 3 people. You
Yeah.
have the government people, which are 3 people.
Yeah.
And you have, the Dr. Nyssa, Tegan, and Turlough.
Yep. And the scientist, and the rats.
The scientist, then there's the Rat King, the rat scientist, and then like
the rat
3
technician.
or 4 other rat characters, plus just the other rats.
It's honestly, it's too much to track. It's difficult to tell, because like I almost forgot, like, you could have eliminated, like I said, you could have eliminated the soldier because he blows himself up immediately anyway, and there's already overlap with Kevin. You could have eliminated Matthew because all he does is kind of wander around and then get killed. You only needed 1 urban explorer. Again, you could have just used with Kevin. Like you only needed 1 betrayer, so you don't need the government guy either. Like there's way too much doubling up.
They wouldn't have had the preachy it's hard to be a woman thing.
Oh my god, I don't care though. Like there's too much doubling up in the cast, and it's too many voices to track, especially too many voices that sound similar, and the Rat King, like the Morass, has an annoying effect that you can barely understand.
All the rats do.
Yeah. I mean, they're more legible, but the king is worse because the king.
Yeah, because there's 3 of them.
Because there's 3 of them together, so they all speak, and it's not like they're just like, it's not one voice multi-track to sound like 3 or like 3 people speaking in unison. It's like 3 different voices that kind of like phase in and out, which on paper is a cool effect, but it kind of makes it hard to tell, like, is this still the Rat King talking, or is this like the other rat replying? Because it kind of talks to itself, sort of. I don't know.
It's dumb.
It's weird. It's really weird. Well, Sontarans were fun, at least, and you could understand what they were saying.
The story was fun. Especially because it felt like a bad company for Sontarans, except the comedic version.
It's funny because like I could really see that story being done on the new series. Like you could really easily put Strax in there.
Yeah, well, Strax is good at his job, though.
Well, yes, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like the new series kind of like plays up the comedy of Sontarans a lot more than the classic series did. So it felt like a very New Who kind of thing.
And that we didn't bring it up, but we failed to mention just Tegan's relentless taunting of the Sontarans, constantly calling them short or versions of short or
Napoleon,
potatoes,
short stack.
Napoleon, yes. And then just having to, like, at a couple times, call him Napoleon. Well, he was a very revered military leader. Okay, he was also very short. Her snark was on point.
You know what? I have to say, like, Tegan throughout all 3 of these episodes had some very, very good sass. Like, they really used Tegan's sarcasm well throughout the story, even if Tegan herself didn't really always have a good stuff to do every episode. She had some pretty good remarks.
Very much so. So, yeah, that was this week.
Sure was.
What's up next time, Kate?
Next time we have the next trilogy of the fucking Richter syndrome story.
Oh, I know that. But what are our next 3 stories?
The next 3 stories are the Emerald Tiger, the Jupiter Conjunction, and the Butcher of Brisbane.
That last one might be good.
I would, you know what? This is probably the most solid of the trilogies for sure.
Okay, good. But with those other titles, they're the kind you can't tell.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
Could be anything.
They sound like 50 serial stories, so.
Well, it is Doctor Who. And hey, this will put us like over the halfway point.
Yes, then we'll only have 2 more trilogies left.
Yeah, and really, this they should have ended at 12, I think, and then like the last three kind of aren't necessary, but whatever. That's a story for 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now.
All right. So we will be back next week with those 3 audios. Bye everyone.